Hello aeronauts! It's been a while again, I'm sorry. But I'm back! I'm making myself do a video and I'm making myself record more videos. Well, not right now, I need to leave in a second because I'm off to an opening night for... I don't know the name of it. It's this cool club that's got loads of ball pools and I'm vlogging it and I'm going with Perry and it's called Ballyballerson in Shoreditch. But that's where I'm going in a second, so I'm like filming this quick and then I'm gonna run to the tube. But yeah, so hi, it's been a bit. So what's happened since I saw you? I saw a lot of shows, including this one, Wicked, my 6th time. Yeah, so this video is kind of like a catch up on what shows I've recently seen, because I recently realised that in this channel I always go at the start, hi, I'm Aeron James, I'm a Disney boy, a theatre boy, and gay and small. And you say I'm cute, so I say that I'm the cute gay, but yeah. But anyhow, but I always say that, and then I realised that my content never actually is that. So I was like, I'm changing this. So from now on, expect a lot more theatre, a lot more Disney, because I mean, I'm seeing a lot of shows with TodayTix, so I should really talk about them. So, yeah, let's get on to this one. So, it's just turned the 11th anniversary of Wicked, legit. I saw a post about it. So yeah, we went to see the 2017/2018 cast of Wicked. And if you know from my previous video, which was on my dream roles, one of my dream roles is in Wicked. I one day really want to be Bok. I want to be that little munchkin who runs on and falls in love with Glinda and ends up with Nessa but doesn't want to be with Nessa. Oh, spoilers. But I want to be that little munchkin boy and try and be like the little adorable thing that he is and find depth to him. But every time I watch, there's just something about Bog that just, even this time I was like, I want to play that role so badly. He's not even that big a role, there's just something, because it was the second show I saw and it was the first character on stage that I thought, actually, I'm the right body type for that, I'm the right height for that. Because I'm a smallish guy, I'm not the tallest, so I'm not a Fiero, and I don't know, there's just something that really calls to it, and seeing it for the 6th time was the 6th time that it's been proven that I really want to play that role. So I thought I'd just do a video talking about the shows I've seen, or whiz through the shows I've seen, and then talk a bit more about Wicked, because I've got a lot of thoughts right now. So yeah, in the past, so far with TodayTix, I have seen Our Ladies of Perpetual Sucker once, and then I went back a couple of days after because it was that good. It's no longer on, so I'm kind of going to whiz through it, but it was stunning, and if it goes on tour, go and see it. It's the funniest thing, but also the most emotional thing, and there's just 6 girls who literally can do everything, and I was just in awe of them, and it made me know why musical theatre and plays and just theatre in general, why they're so important, and why I love them, and why I just want to be in them. Legit, all of that. That show gave me all of that. So if it gave me all of that, you get my drift. You will love it. And I love Scottish humour and the Scottish accent and just, it was just, yes. So yeah, if Our Ladies goes on tour, or if it comes back, or if it's in your country, if it goes on, goes internationally, because it did before it went to the West End. So if you know that it's coming around or a production is near you, go and watch it. Next, so I went to see, what did I see next? I went to this really cool party, which was TodayTix's first late event, which was like a party after the actual show had happened. So kind of the Great Gatsby show had already happened, and then I arrived with Taya, and then it was like, oh, let's have a party in a Great Gatsby set with actors, and just really cool. And people from Made in Chelsea were there, and I was like, I only know you because my housemate really watches it, but that's quite cool. And then somebody turned to me and she said, oh, it's great being an ambassador, isn't it? And I was just like, somebody knows who I am. But that was so cool. And I know that that's still running. It's an immersive event, the Great Gatsby event, and you're not watching a show, and you're not even really in Promenade Theatre. I mean, it is a bit, but you're in the story of Great Gatsby, and everything happens around you, and you're also one of the guests at Gatsby's event. And when we went, because it was a late event, there was drinks, and it just felt like this whole lavish thing, and we all dressed up. And I've got some clips, so they should be showing now or over the top, whichever way I do this. But yeah, it was stunning, and the hula hoop dancer was legit like the best thing ever. I was gobsmacked. She was so good, and just she echoed the time, but she also echoed like just, I don't know, this mix of elegance, but it still felt modern, even though it wasn't. Well, it was kind of meant to be modern. It was just cool. I was just like, that is amazing. So what else did I see? I went to Dreamgirls front row with Taya, and Dreamgirls is a show I've only seen once, and I saw it the day before it opened, and I had Karen, and me and my parents were like everybody kind of at the minute is, I really want to see Amber Riley, and then we got there, and my mum was like, it's the day before the opening night, she'll be on because like she'll want this one to be like, yes, I'm ready. And then she wasn't. And so we had Karen Rapp instead, and Karen was amazing. Then me and my parents were like, that's it, we're fine, we're happy. And then everybody started raving about Marisha, and then it was like, whew. It's like, so now I want to go back and watch Marisha and Amber. And then me and my parents, as you've seen in past vlog, went to the Olivier's, and we saw Amber perform, and I legit just, I had a proper like stagey boy moment when watching her perform at the Olivier's live, and I was just like, you are insane. And after like the standing ovation that happened before she finished that song, right, I was just like, if she doesn't win this Olivier, and then she did, and then I was like, I need to watch her do the whole thing. And then TodayTix were kind enough to let me and Taya go and watch it on front row. And there's a little clippy here too from that, because yeah, we watched it front row. Front row. Amber Riley was like here. She stared at me. She like sang bits to me, to me. Probably didn't even see that I was there, but in my direction, and I was just like, ugh. I'm not this much of a fanboy, but it was a moment. And then she replied to my Instagram post about it when I was just like raving and gushing over her, and I was like, she knows I exist. I have no clue she knew I was there, but yay. And Laurel, I love Laurel, like as a character in the show is amazing, and just I loved Anika Noni Rose in the film, but like I was like, oh, Laurel in this is so good. Both times, because I've seen 2 Laurels and 2 Effies, but 1 Dina. And I'm very happy I've just seen Lucy LaFontaine, because she's amazing. And Asper Gabriel Michael was on for, well, took over Laurel. And when I found that out, I was like, I'm going. I was like, because I remember watching her in the Legally Blonde recording of the American production, and she was so good as Pilar that I was kind of like, yeah, I'm going to see her Laurel because she's normally on Broadway and she's here, so I'm going to watch her. And I did. And she was amazing. She's such a good actress. Such a good actress. Anyhow. And then we saw Kinky Boots. Gosh, I did see a lot. Oh, and so the only non-TodayTix thing I've seen recently was Five Guys Named Mo with my parents. And it was such an interesting show. So I knew before going that Five Guys Named Mo is not a show that it's not like any other musical. That's the best way to say it. Five Guys No More is very, if you love a show that's got plot and got like a full plot and story and emotions, well, it has emotions, but like a plot that keeps going through, you know, like you're gonna watch it and there's a start, there's a middle and there's an end, but it's really complex. And like Les Mis or even Kinky Bootsy, like it's a really like simple narrative, or it's a very structured narrative, whereas Five Guys No More does not have that. They don't even explain where the five guys come from the whole way through. I kind of figured it out, but it's not, it's very abstract, a very abstract piece. I guess the best way to say it is it's very musical review, like not cabaret, but down that route. Oh, I know the word for it. I guess review, like a variety show. There we go. Variety, review. There's another word, but I studied this, but I can't remember it. But it's very, it's great, but it's very not what people expect of a musical. Yet the set and the performances, just, it was so, like, I went in there with no expectations because I had no clue what Five Guys No More, I had no clue what Five Guys No More really was. Like, I knew a tiny bit of the songs, but I didn't really know it, and I went in like, don't have a clue what I'm watching, and then I watched it and I was like, wow. I was like, it's a phenomenal plot. I kind of went out like, I took about a day to figure out whether I really enjoyed it or didn't. It's one of those shows, it's very Marmitey, but the performance is like fully like so commendable. It's just a very, if you don't like, I guess if you go into it knowing that it's not your traditional musical, you'll really enjoy it. If you go in thinking, I'm going to be blown away by this story and have so many emotions for each character, you're not. I mean, you can, but I didn't. I just really enjoyed every character, and they were very different and very, like, they were very distinct, to say that really they don't have that much character development at all. But they're very distinct, and each performer gets their moment to shine, and the revolve that goes round the audience in between. Like, the staging was so good, and I loved it. It's just a very Marmite show, and I enjoyed it, and I'd go back. I just wouldn't put it like in my top shows. For enjoyment levels, yeah, it's up there, but it's not like a show like Kinky Boots or Wicked or Matilda that I'd rush back to. And speaking of that, I went back to Matilda as well. That was out of the blue. So me and Taya went to Kinky Boots for the second birthday. So Kinky Boots had their second birthday recently, and we got to go, and I was like a little, well, we even took these like proper stagey photos, and yeah, I was like a little kid. I legit was just, Kinky Boots is a show that me and my mom wanted to be a musical since I was in my teens. Like, my mom was like, it's one of her favourite films, and she literally said, this needs to be a musical. And then she didn't like how the Broadway original cast was at all, which a lot of UK people didn't, because the accents were, and it's not the music from the film as well, so you kind of, it's an all new version. But then when it came over and they made the adaptations, because for the British audience, so that it was correct a lot more, and it wasn't playing for an American audience anymore, it was playing for the Brits, and it was amazing. And I've seen it 1, 2, 3, that was my 4th time. I sound like an addict, because when I went back to Matilda, that was my 5th time. It was interesting because it was a whole new cast I was going to watch, and I've seen the original cast, and I think the cast after that, I must have, I can't remember. I remember people changing, but because Matt Henry was still there the whole time, I just didn't really notice it as much. But I'd seen the understudy before, who went to Australia to be the lead in the Australian production, but that was still when it was the original cast, and I was like, now the cast changes happened this one and Matt Henry is now left, will it feel really empty? And it really didn't. And the new lead is amazing, and such a nice, like, a different version. I feel like it's a younger take on Lola, but it's just so entertaining and amazing voice. And yeah, let's get on to the really interesting part of the second birthday performance. So before we went, I remember when I first saw, again, another fanboy moment, but when I first, there's going to be a few of these, I just realised a couple more I was going to say. But I need to leave in a second. I just realised it's going to be late. So when I first saw Kinky Boots, one of the swings was on in the factory, and that was Jordan Fox. And then he was on for Harry. He'd came back to the cast, and he'd left the cast and then came back and took on the role of Harry. And then he sang that, and I was like, oh, this is really cool, because I remember distinctly he was like the ensemble member that I watched in the show, throughout for the first time I saw Kinky Boots. I guess a lot of people, mainly performers, do this, is that you end up watching one performer in the ensemble for the whole show because they just get your attention. I've always had it every show I've ever seen. There's always like an ensemble member, and I just end up watching them. Even when the performances happen, I'm just watching them because they're like, I love to watch just how amazing their performance is, and people don't always take note of just how much they're doing and like what good acting they're doing. He was the one I remembered from all the way back then, and then for him to be on as Harry, I was like, this is cool, because you don't really get to hear someone's voice properly when they're in the ensemble. So I kind of actually was like, now I can properly hear it, and his Harry was so good. He did his bit, and I was like, you don't really see him now because Harry's only in like his song and then he vanishes. So I was like, okay, but I was like, he was so good, like I'm gonna commit. Like I was like, right, I'm making my tweet to say how good he was. And then, because his voice was like, But then David Hunter was on as Charlie, and I'd seen him before. So in Everybody Say Yeah, the Act 1 finale, something in me said that something was happening and that someone was changing, because I don't know if I clocked somebody saying something to someone, but I looked and I was like, and I remember distinctly in the interval I turned to 10 and went, somebody's off, somebody's switching, somebody's coming on. But it did! Jordan Fox went on as Charlie for Act 2, and me being me was just like, did somebody know that I really wanted to see a different Charlie? Just because I hadn't, and that I knew that he was the understudy and I'd seen that and I'd wanted to see him perform Charlie. And especially after hearing him sing Harry, and then he was on and I was like, and his Charlie was so good. Like, I remember thinking, he went into the role of Charlie halfway through the show, and he'd already played a different character in that show. So completely different, like, mindset, and he literally had to convince us that he was both the friend of Charlie and Charlie. That's hard to win a whole audience round when you've literally already been in it, not just as ensemble, because if you've been ensemble, the audience haven't really like clocked who you are or really paid attention to you. But because he was Harry and like right next to Charlie singing a freaking duet, I was like, oh my gosh, this could go like either way, but he just like did it, and Soul of a Man was like, I was like, yes, yes, I've been waiting to hear a Soul of a Man that, like, yes, it just was so good. And the new cast are amazing, and I'm so glad it's still here, and I'm so glad it's going into its third year, because it's a show that could run for ages, and it's nice to see, even though it wasn't made in Britain or really by a British team, just the fact that it's like British based, and it feels nice and at home, which is great. And all the normal like Cyndi Lauper's music and Jerry Mitchell's just insane. Like, he's just amazing. Every show that he's done, I'm just like, ugh. So, next. Then I saw Matilda, and I've seen Matilda loads, and we just decided to go because Taya hadn't been and she wanted to see a show, and I was like, let's go to Matilda and see if I've got cheap seats, and they did, and then so we went to see it, and it's Matilda. I love it. I didn't realise it was such a Marmite show, which I learnt from that audience, because I feel like Matilda with a quiet audience is really hard to get through, because they're not like, and I was like, audiences can really change the mood of a show, because I was like, yes, it's so good, and then everybody else around me were like, and I was like, sometimes I'm like, they've done so well, are they worth more? And then I'm like, well, it's everybody's interpretation, but when it's a quiet audience, I'm a bit like, especially when you're performing. Whenever I performed and it was a quiet audience, I just got bored. I still do the same performance, but when you get, I still like give it my all, but when you have an audience that really responds to stuff, you know that they're on your side, and then you want to give them more, you want to keep on making them happy. Whereas if they're like, it's really hard to tell, and you're like, they could live it, or are they just not enjoying it, and then it just makes you feel a bit like, So yeah, Matilda, like, for me, I love the new cast, I think they're great. I really enjoyed seeing it again, and I think I'd seen some of the cast before, but a lot of them were new, and they'd only been in for like a few days, but you couldn't tell. I don't know, there's not really that much to say about Matilda, because I've seen it. That was my 5th time, so I'd seen it a lot. So for me, it was just like going back again. We saw it in the dress circle, which I've never seen Matilda there. It's great to see it there, because you notice, like, I noticed so much more that happens on the floor that I never noticed of Matilda, and just how incredible the set design and lighting design and sound design is, just all so well done. But there was so much that you miss from the stalls. But from a personal point of view, I always recommend with Matilda to go to the front of the stalls without fail, because when I grow up, it's so much more, I don't know, it's like a kind of, it's not a Disney moment, yes, it's a Roald Dahl moment, but it's a moment, and I feel like you don't get that if you're not in the stalls, near the front of the stalls, just to sit and just to have that moment when the swings come. Because if you're further back, it happens, and you're like, oh, but you don't get, like, just, you can't really gauge how far out they're coming, and I don't know, it's just, I don't know, I just felt so much more like a little kid, and so much more in that moment, where in that kind of bubble, whereas sitting in the dress circle, I felt a little detached from it, and I kind of missed, and I felt sad that I didn't get that moment that I had before. So yeah, with Matilda, I recommend going to the front of the stalls, and in the stalls you get a lot more of the moments that happen in the stalls. I'm not telling you what, but stalls for Matilda is what I always say from now on, now that I actually have a decent opinion. Plus the it's not too far back that you can't see anything, but I don't know, with that theatre, I always recommend, I always like to be in the stalls. We went for Kinky Boots, and we were for Wicked and Our Ladies. So for different shows it's different. Like, it was at, like, the Adelphi is great for being in the dress circle, but other theatres not so much. You feel too far away or too high, and I kind of a little bit felt that with Matilda. Personal opinion, I just really like the stalls for it, and that's where I've seen it 3-4 times, so I'm just used to being there. Yeah. And then finally, and quickly, because I really need to go and get the tube, or else I'm going to be really late, what was it? This is future Aeron, if you hadn't guessed, and the show that I was meant to be thinking of was School of Rock. So I saw it for the 2nd time, and I'm not going to talk about it loads, because you can learn what I think of School of Rock in my School of Rock review that I did ages ago when I first saw the show. But yeah, we saw it again, this time in the stalls, and the stalls, I don't think there's a massive difference in the New London Theatre where you sit, so I had pretty much a similar experience down in the stalls. That was the one that I forgot, and I was like, I only realised now when doing the B-roll that I had completely forgotten about it. But yeah, it's a good show, and I still friggin' love Where Will the Rock Go. Miss Mullen's song, it's so good. Yeah. So hop on back over to now Wicked. Boom. Oh yeah, was Wicked. So it was my 6th time. So Wicked was tied with Curious Incident of a Dog in the Night Time as my most seen show, because I literally binge watched Curious so many times because it's flawless. And it's gone on tour, so go and see it. And it'll probably like equal again, but it's flawless. Like I could rave about that, but I could do a whole video on that and say how much, just how important I think the show is and just how well it's done, and just, oh. So back to Wicked. So Wicked is now my most seen show, and they've just announced the UK tour of it as well. So they're UK and Ireland tour. A little weird film there. But the UK and Ireland tour, and so you've got loads of ways. If you're in the UK and Ireland, you've got a few ways to see it. But yeah, the new cast are amazing, and my friend who I did youth theatre and stuff with was on as Nessa Rose, and I was really hoping she was on, but I wasn't going to jinx it. Then I sat down in my chair next to Jess, one of the Are of That ambassadors, and I took out my phone, looked, and it said Amy Official will be on as Nessa Rose, and I just went, yay. It was just kind of one of those moments where I just was like, oh, it happened. And then she's just so good, and she's always been so talented, and she just does. I watched Rukaya's video on it, and she was praising Amy, and I sat there like, that's my friend. But also how she said about her Nessa Rose, I was kind of like, ooh, she changes it. And then when I watched it, she really does have like this unique take on Nessa Rose, but I just loved, from the start to the end, I just loved her version of Nessa Rose, and I literally could not recommend trying to get to see Amy do it. And now she's second cover Nessa as well, which you wouldn't know in the slightest that she was second cover, because that means that she'd get less time on. Her Nessa Rose is just something special, and now I really want to see her as Alphabet because she's first cover, so I will be keeping a look at West End Understudies a lot more to see when she's on, and then I can go and watch, because yeah. And Sophie Evans is great as Glinda. Glinda, I think, has a harder job for the audience to take to her. I've always found this, that Elfie, it's really, really hard not to back Elfie and not to love her and not to root for her and find all of the emotion from her. Whereas with Glinda, she has Popular to like fully just make you giggle and laugh and kind of, I don't know, kind of see the bubbliness of her and the like ditziness to love her. And then she has I'm Not That Girl in the second half, and like little moments where it's those moments where you're like, oh, she needs to get those moments for you to love her, or else when you get to feel good, it doesn't feel complete. And Sophie managed that. It was complete, and she's got such a nice, good take on it. I feel like it's a very like polished Glinda. Like, that is Glinda. How she plays it is Glinda. There's no. She just has Glinda down, and I feel like the more that she plays with it and the more that she develops it, the more insane it will be. I just think it was like a really clean Glinda, and I kind of want to go and see one where she just goes even wilder. I was giggling at all of this stuff. I think it was another quiet audience as well, which really annoyed me, because I was like, why are you not clapping more? I was like, it's so funny, I've chuckled so many times and nobody else has, and I don't like this. So yeah, I don't know if it was that just made me feel a bit like that, because she did a great Popular and she did great acting choices and everything, and yeah, I don't know. I always judge it on how much an audience reacts in populist sometimes. Because I always remember the first time I went and everybody was howling. So, yeah. And then, who else do I want to talk about? Bok was possibly my favouriteest. Bok. And it was interesting hearing a southern accent, because I've only ever heard Scottish and northern. Yeah, I think I've only ever heard Scottish and northern Boks, and never a southerner. So it was really interesting hearing like a more, I don't know, just a different one, not as like lilty, which made me feel a bit happier, because it was like my accents, I want my accent to be Bokish and I don't know if it is. And I'm a bit like, yay, at least I don't have to put on a different accent. And Bok was, who was Bok? I did know this. Bok was played by, I don't think he's in this, oh there he is, by Jack Lansbury, and he was great. I really enjoyed his Bok, and yeah, he was really enjoyable and he made the most of everything, which is nice because there's a lot of Bok moments that I've probably missed before, but I caught them all on that, and I was just like, yeah, I love that role. And before I get to talk raving about Alice Fern, I just want to say Melanie LaBarry is the best Morrible that exists. Melanie LaBarry as Morrible is just perfection. And it's great to see a Morrible that can sing a role. But it's not like there's never been a Morrible that couldn't sing it at all. I've seen great Morribles, but she just, I don't know, the voice that she puts on, how she sings it, how the character develops the whole way through. Like, I was fully into Morrible's story this time round. I fully focused on Morrible, which I don't always do. And she's just amazing. She's just, I mean, I saw her in Matilda in the original cast and as Mrs. Phelps, and whenever I've seen her, she's just, she's an actress that you can just know that you're in safe hands and that you will be like, just slayed. And she did it. And that is all. And finally, just a little bit on Alice Fern, because her alphabet is amazing and she might be possibly my favouriteest, because she added these insane riffs and extra notes and big stuff, and it didn't feel out of place, which sometimes when I've watched recordings online they have a lot. So yeah, she knows alphabet to a T, and her transformation throughout it is impeccable and really nice. Like, she plays the older alphabet so well. But then a lot of the mature, like the ones who do the second act really well, are normally a bit not as believable as the younger Elfie. Like, he can feel the maturity too much, but she really got it, and they're like the little real cheekiness of alphabet until she becomes this multi-layers, and you feel it going on to Alice while she's going through it. Like, this alphabet is just, you can feel this gradual building up until you get to know Goodita and you're like, what have you done to her? What have all these people done? She's so tragic. And that's what I want to feel. I want to feel that moment that I get to know Goodita and I just want to run over and help her, but I also can totally see where she's coming from and why she's saying it, because it's everything she's done has been right, and look what's happened. Like, she's never done a bad thing. Like, yeah, and she did that, and yeah, I'm glad it's my most seen show, and I always want it to be one of them. Even if a new show comes around, or like I end up seeing Rent loads of times, because I really want it to be up there. So what we know is, I've seen a lot of shows. I'm probably not going to do a lot of shows like that I've seen like this. I might do this as a monthly thing, like as a catch-up of the month. But I quite like that, so we might do that. Because it's kind of, like, instead of September favourites, it's September shows, October shows, shows I saw in October, like something like that, maybe. Yeah, comment below and let me know if you like that. Comment below what shows you've seen this month, and are there any shows that you recommend to me, or any shows you want me to explain more on if I haven't explained about any of these enough. And also, as always, check out TodayTix. They are where I pretty much like the only reason I got to see all these shows, and it is the best ticketing app ever, and I'm going to do a video soon explaining how to use TodayTix. But yeah, check it out. They've got the best deals and they never sell a bad seat, which is what you need, because a lot of ticket booths and stuff will give you bad seats and say that they're not, whereas you can literally see that you are in good hands. And I can tell you from personally, a lot of personal experience, you are in great hands and they are an amazing team. And yeah, so without further ado, a new video will be coming soon, because I'm going to record loads tomorrow because I need to run now. I'm so late. Right. If you're not already, subscribe down below and join the Aeronauts family. Let's smash those numbers. Let's build. Let's grow. Maybe, if you like me. If I'm cute. If I'm not cute, then I'm sorry. I didn't do my job. Yeah, anyhow, love you all. Bye, 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 bye!